doing Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, we're doing Kurt Cobain's Sucks, and so do you.
Oh,
I think so. I think we got on that train because we were talking about mistypings. We were
Yeah.
talking about I think it was something along the lines of people's self-identity.
Yes, because, I mean, I think the biggest thing I notice, and like this kind of episode in a nutshell, why Kurt Cobain, we're going to get there eventually, but I think like people will idolize certain things about identity, like just kind of your personality. And you probably don't, a lot of people don't realize they're doing it, obviously. But I just noticed that when people are idolizing certain parts of themselves, like they're going to project that onto other people or when they're listening to things, and there's just not enough difference happening. So then you're not actually understanding the full scope of personality and what's possible in it. Like even when Sammy and I recorded the one about like reading letters and stuff, it's like your internal dialogue is going to be really different from like how people observe you. Like this is the social instinct, right? Like what you perceive of yourself is completely different from what other people are perceiving of you. And through like typing in what you guys do with Enneagram, or like objective psychology means that your personality is kind of doing something objectively that can be observable.
Yep.
And therefore it's like that is more of a pattern than it is like you know what I mean? And so that's like the rest of your life is spent trying to figure out what's actually you and not just your pattern. But oftentimes your pattern is so hidden because your concept of you is so different from the objective you that's happening. And like with Kurt Cobain specifically, it's like he's typed as self-sexual five-wing four?
Five four.
Okay, five-wing four.
But a lot of people idealize him as a introvert messiah.
Yes.
4 5.
Yeah. So, but he's also being triple withdrawn. So he's 5'9" 4". It's like already all three of those types are doing something quite introverted. In general, they're withdrawn. So it's like there's something of that like mysterious identity I think you guys have talked about with type 4 in general. But like all three of those types are kind of doing that in some way because of that withdrawn stance. And so it's like, what a perfect image. And then him being social blind, like not at all in touch with how he's socially received either, and how he's trying to socially come across. And so people just project like nineness onto him, like as
everybody's a 9.
Yeah, because everybody's a 9.
Right.
And 9 is really introverted, whether you're like literally an extrovert or an introvert. 9 is just sensitive and introverted and moody and whatever, that it's like all the 9s out there just project so much sameness onto someone like Kurt Cobain, when in reality he was a very complex person that was, a human being like anyone else, and social blind, so he's probably a fucking mess like a lot of the time. And so you kind of like in this phenomenon of what people have projected on Kurt Cobain, it's like you kind of lose that like difference of personality. Like his edges were kind of lost, and like and therefore because it's almost like a social objectification, that it's like in your social instinct you're objectifying certain qualities and traits that you have, and therefore you do that to other people. And so it's like Kurt becomes this weird, vague, introverted icon that people become obsessed with and kind of lose like all of the kind of grittiness of what personality is and what your identity really is, and not just these like vague descriptions.
Yeah.
I have because I'm an old person, and I have a somewhat different sense of, his effect and on culture or whatever, and the projections and all that stuff. So I'm not, where are you saying that the general zeitgeisty thing about him these days is like a kind of 9-ish projection that people are doing with him, or
Well, I correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there's an idealization of Kurt representing. I guess when he came around, it was like he made it cool to be depressed and moody and all those things. Mm-hmm. But there's also there's that in that he's an icon for something that's different. But at the same time, people are sort of like the 9 positive outlook, trying to make him a messianic figure of some kind, where it's like forgetting that he was suicidal and drug addict and all these things, whereas like his death can't possibly be that he was such a troubled person that he had to have been murdered, or there has to be some other conspiracy for why he would, so there's a way that there's an idealization. On one hand, he represented something dark that the zeitgeist attached themselves to, but that attachment also came with an idealization where it's like the personhood's gone. It's just like the icon of Kurt Cobain as a messiah for every introverted, troubled youth who hasn't left the house and now. So there's a couple different directions you can go there.
Yeah, and I think just in the realm of like Enneagram stuff, we always see people mistyping themselves, and I think it's because they don't realize how much they're putting either sameness into something, like people who mistype as social blind, people who mistype as 4, people who mistype as 5. Like they're projecting a lot of sameness into the types and not letting them be their own distinct flavors and like experiences that are very different. Sameness as in like mostly attachment types will project onto like the hexad types, or self-prosocials will think that they're self-prosexual, and it's like they'll hear self-prosexual descriptions and be like, yeah, that's me, but not recognizing the actual real life consequences. And the distinctions of like, people who think they're a 4, but then you actually meet a 4 and it's like the life consequences of being a 4 is not something that you'll probably actually experience or even know in your life when you really get it.
Like what she's meaning in that sameness, as in there are a lot of people who feel moody and feel depressed that feel like they relate to someone like Kurt Cobain. But the actual depth of what that is not something that they're willing to face, because the end result, we saw what that was, and people aren't willing to accept that this is the end result of someone who's actually staring into the abyss. So there are a lot of 9s who look at 4 and idealize the darkness and the depressiveness and the moodiness, as 9s usually do, overestimating their own negativity. So like when an actual 4 shows up, it's like, no, that's a narcissist. That's a actual fucked up person.
Or an unhealthy.
So the description on the page,
that's an unhealthy 4.
Unhealthy 4. So the description on the page is something that 4s can, or not 4s, but 9s can romanticize and idealize. But then the reality, which is much more disturbing and actual, like, no.
I think
Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. He was murdered.
I think one of the phenomena
by Courtney
is it's kind of with Kurt Cobain is also the thing that's happening with 9s who self-type as 4s especially, is that they're making their own, I mean, this is totally unconscious, they're re-rendering their own sadness and emotional, whatever stuff as poetic. They're turning it into a poetic composition, which is, kind of, his songs have that, whatever, to whatever degree they have that or have some lastingness. It's like, it's not just that you're sad, but you actually produce something that people revere from it, right? Composition.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said there with the, generally in Enneagram circles, people immediately mistype as some social blind 4. Everybody is either self-pres sexual or sexual self-pres. 4-wing 5, because 4-wing 3, you can't be too cocky. You got to be double withdrawn and social blind. And so there's a lot there of just the idea of what these things mean. Versus the reality of what it is. And that's why most people who are doing this are completely against the idea of that your type and what you're doing can be externally observed in some kind of objective way, because it's a lot easier to stay at home and imagine yourself into some kind of personality or character without embracing or having to be confronted in the real world. You can you can continue these fantasies about, and so that's why Kurt Cobain is really interesting as a figure of just a really tortured icon of who happens to be really talented, who happens to be able to make these like world-changing albums. That's probably a fantasy for all these losers at home who don't want to leave their bedrooms.
I think even like triple withdrawn, there's also something people see in withdrawnness where it's like you're tortured on the inside, but like outside all these other things are happening. So it's like that whole like people won't tell you're crying if it's raining, like that kind of like secret like sadness, you know, that is just I want the public to actually see what I'm dealing with, you know, and that's social. It's like even Alice and I were talking about in the social episode that like social is like you do have like a virtual self, which is what we're talking about, like the idea that you think you are, and then there's an actual self that's like showing up, and like these two things are kind of always at odds, like they're sort of like not matching up. And I think that when you get objectively typed, like it's not, I think it's like not the end of the world to admit that you first off can objectively type, because it's personality. It's not like, it's not your character or something, you know, it's your personality. So it's just a pattern. But then, yeah, then it's like, okay, then my self-image can start to feel a bit more congruent with like what everyone else is perceiving me as, and therefore I can actually see where I'm like wanting something and I'm not communicating that. Like all nines, like they just constantly disown their choices and then blame everyone else and everything else for that choice that they could have made and they didn't, or whatever. That I think like Kurt, you hear people talk about how he was just as a person, and it was like he was a pretty normal person with just weird fixations, like withdrawn fixations, which is why he used a lot of that energy in music, because it's like we were talking about in the sexual instinct episode, like best case scenario, those types of raw expressions come out creatively. But then to kind of almost have that skewed in like celebrity stardom for a triple withdrawn social blind, like that's gonna be weird to you, you know, like that's lots of people talked about like his dealing with the celebrityness,
the weirdness of being like the number one rock star in the world. That's
exactly. Yeah, like of just like this weird guy that just wants to sit in his basement and make music and then kind of like perform on stage and then go elsewhere. It's like is now on the cover of every magazine, is now asking to be doing interviews. Like, you know, even thinking of that one thing of that you guys said with like how to torture the instinct stackings, and it's like asks for social blinds. It was like, or self-prosexual, like ask them what they're messaging. They're like political
literally
messaging or something.
Every interview is some journalist asking him what these lyrics
what
meant.
Does it mean? Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's just like that. I don't have an answer for that because it's not meant to exist in this space.
And, you know, to this is something I've had to deal with personally, just even seeing this happen on a very small scale with our group and having a podcast, is that when you create something and you put it out there in the world, it's like it's a snapshot of you that is then idealized and made into a fantasy. And so when people listen to a podcast or they hear your music, they have this fantasy idea of you that is a fraction of who you are. And so people's idea of Kurt Cobain, because I think about like if you were to see a typing video of Kurt Cobain just asking banal questions, would you have the same opinion of him that you have because you heard him making beautiful music and singing with beautiful lyrics? Because you don't know what it was like to live with the man and live with like, oh, people were like, I saw one video where someone was like, Kurt Cobain had a message that was so empathetic, empathetic and full of acceptance because he was like an LGBTQ advocate and wanted authenticity. It's like, did you have to live with him? Do you understand what it was like to have like 6 overdoses to be.
He spent $400 a day on heroin.
On heroin.
That's insane.
And he's talking to him about like I must be such an asshole because I'm so nihilist. I just found some deep cuts of him talking about himself.
Yeah.
He's like, everyone is always on pins and needles around me because I'm such a nihilistic asshole and I'm so moody. But he's like, I think I'm in a good mood most of the time. Like I think, but like everyone around me
is angry.
Is things I'm fucking pissed off and
that's
depressed.
Exactly Tom York and John Lennon. That's exactly the vibe. Like people were intimidated. It's that 5, wall coldness, and then the 4, critical frustration vibe. It's just not a friendly tone, and it changes the room.
Right.
These people who are idealizing Kurt Cobain would not like them if they had to spend a day with him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's like you're identifying with stuff that you don't even fucking understand. Like social blind seems cool as a description, seems cool as like something to have, but like why don't you actually hang around people who are social blind and see how cool you think it is?
Yeah.
It's like
it's not like, and that's the thing, like the coolness comes from like that self-pressed social lifestyle. Like, oh, we're paying attention to what you're doing in your lifestyle. But like self-pressed sexual throws a fucking wrench in a lifestyle, and it's like people can't imagine what that looks like. It's quirky, it's strange, it's like you just like read more books than most people. Like, no, it's not another
you're just
lifestyle.
socially awkward. You can't.
No.
People think that social blindness is just like, you have a hard time having normal conversations with people. That's the extent of your social blindness.
It's $400 a day on heroin. That's what it is.
And it's not caring what that looks like to everybody else around you.
Yes.
People might hear that and think, that sounds cool. That sounds like it'd be a cool thing to be, is just someone who's not giving a shit about what other people think.
Yeah.
It's like, that sounds like a cool, I don't give a fuck. I'm social blind. I don't care what other people think. While they're like going on social typology forums, plastering their identity everywhere.
I've brought that up to people in different threads all over the place, but like just pointing out how it's clear that they're conscious of sort of what's going on socially in the threads, in the discussion board and so forth, and I'll point it out, and they'll say, well, I had to learn that in order to function in the world or whatever.
Imagine you didn't, though. Like, what would happen if you didn't?
You don't even know that you have to do that to function.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Oh no, I think that's why. Like, because we were talking about like. What fascinates me too, not just with Kurt Cobain, is the phenomenon of Kurt and Courtney.
Oh yeah, right. Let's get
Courtney,
into that.
Courtney is a social sexual 8-wing-7, right?
8-wing-7,
yeah, 874.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, so our like celebrities, like in the spotlight, people were 2 sexual middle rejection types. You know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah.
I think that's why like this time period, I mean, lots of people even now are like talking about like why do we have celebrity culture? It's like really fucked up, blah blah blah. But regardless, like the 90s, 80s, 90s area where like people were seeing a bit more of like your weird stars coming out, and like different genres of music starting to be experimented with and whatever, that like Kurt and Courtney are like the weirdest people, like typologically, to put in like such anti-spotlight people.
Yeah, right.
And it's just fast because like, again, people, so the same idea of projecting like sameness, like attachment basically onto Kurt. Therefore, Courtney has to be an evil person, like the 8, the social sexual 874, just is like evil. She was hated. She, of course, there's like 2 documentaries that tried to frame her as a murderer of Kurt Cobain, like, and she just. I just found it so interesting that you have this like really feminine man, you know, and this really masculine woman together. And just like we got to watch that and be like, huh? Like everyone has their own opinions, their own reactions. I don't think I even like brought up Courtney's name for years because I hated people's reactions around her.
Oh, wow.
Like she makes great music. Like she's an amazing person, but like so many attachment types, people fucking hate her because like of her assertiveness. So it's just like to see that at least as like a personality type structure possibility in a woman is like whoa, like super cool. But then also like you get to hear everyone react to that like it's wrong, you know, like that's a wrong way to be a person.
Yeah, there's definitely some like accepted ways that women are allowed to present themselves. Like you can't be being an assertive, outspoken, raw woman in collective society is just generally, I can't think of any woman who has been celebrated for presenting that way. And so in contrast to Kurt, who's this sensitive, withdrawn, moody, troubled, triple withdrawn that all these nines are identifying with, who reaches the end of the road essentially of just like he was just speeding to a rock bottom. And everyone around him, because she did heroin before, trying to get him to stop. He ended up, committing suicide, and people can't accept that that's what he did, because that would make him seem like, well, he wasn't just a withdrawn type who's troubled. This is someone who's actually fucked up and willfully did this to themselves, and rather than suicide, circumstances or someone killing him or there's still a bunch of. I was looking on YouTube. There's a bunch of like the truth about what really killed. I'm like, are you serious? There's no like criminal investigation. No one is taking this seriously, but it's still a thing.
The other thing is that if he killed himself, then that would mean that he wasn't as spiritually advanced as people want him to be. You know what I mean?
He's like a 9.
Fucked up dude who loved heroin.
Yes.
That was his religion.
He just made beautiful songs, and if you make beautiful songs, then you must be an angel.
Yeah.
That's
obviously
the thing. If you make beautiful art, people just can't imagine that you have flaws, like real threatening kind of flaws.
And I think it's also that like it's the withdrawn thing. And I think what's interesting as well with sexual instinct in people and why these two are so fascinating is like the sexual instinct kind of gives you the freedom to be a bit more androgynous and to express like sides of yourself that's not that gender stereotype. So it's like for him to kind of be this more whiny, feminine sort of like like he had beautiful music and then he had really just like shitty screaming kind of music. Like this grungy, gritty music as well. And then with Courtney also having sexual middle and being an 8, that it's like her screaming was like so raw, and then she would have like really sweet songs. Like they both kind of dipped. Like I'm pretty sure they even played each other's songs sometimes, or they wrote for each other at certain periods of time. Because like both their styles were very, very similar in like the raw kind of androgynous, grungy vibe to it.
The name of her band, Hole. That was
Hole. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah, people don't know what to do with that kind of energy. I guess the sexual instinct of just being able to cross between categories and the polarity and playing with that kind of tension between polarities. Because he, as a rock star, I mean, you could say rock stars at that time, at least before Kurt it's a little bit more macho. Rock and roll was.
Oh yeah, he was very anti all of that.
Like Led Zeppelin and all the eras before that were a little bit more macho, and so he was probably a reaction to that. Also, the way he grew up too, because he didn't grow up with a dad, or his dad or mom was abused by the stepdad, and so very feminine guy who kind of grows up feeling pretty uncomfortable with his own masculinity and masculinity in general. So it's just all right,
I think the contrast, the macho thing was that they were somewhat of a reaction to the 1980s hair bands, and that sort
hair
of
metal
plastic,
bands,
which did have a macho, even though it was had a glam rock thing, it was still like full force aggressive party bros or whatever.
Yeah.
Party bros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motley Crue and whatever.
No, it's interesting. The 8 and 5 pairing is uncommon, but I'm surprised at how, as rare as those types are, how often I've seen that. Like, you just wouldn't imagine that an 8 and 5 would hook up.
I do have like a little clip I found of him talking about meeting Courtney, and I thought it was very like self-pressed sexual on like it's just their type structures in general. Let me see if I can find.
I do want to play the part where he's talking about himself being just a shitty person, because I'm like, I think people need to hear him saying that he is a shitty person, because that's what he was.
Yeah, but they don't believe that. Oh, you're being so humble. Of course, you're not an actual shitty. You're not actually a shitty person. You're just saying that.
He had a philosophy and message of empathy, and I was like, wow, what delusional reality are you in?
I mean, and that's the thing too. What's interesting, I mean, in OPS, he has FE. He has masculine FE.
Wow,
so there's
that's
a way
incredible.
Yeah, he's NIFE,
One of the
and so
few.
like, so there was a way. Yeah. There was a way that like he was attentive towards how what the tribe was valuing and what the tribe was feeling and the vibes and stuff. So he was like a genuinely like interesting, like to be around kind of guy. You know, he didn't have FI, so he wasn't like totally in his own subjective feeling. Like he was more able to receive.
He would have never come out anywhere if he had FI.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, so he had some kind of radar for that, but then being social blind, it's like the radar was mainly like, I'm not doing what everyone else is doing. Like I'm not. So it was a sensitivity towards like recognizing that the tribe is valuing certain traits or aspects or whatever, and just him, I'm not doing that. Like I can't, you know.
I think probably why it was a lot easier for people to project on him, or attachment types to project on him, not only because he had a 9 fix, but maybe that FE thing showing up in his music, where he was really tapped into the wrongs of the world and people being nasty and evil to each other comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like, I just wish people would not be shitty to each other. I wish, women and gays would not be hated on. So there's a little bit of the, FE activism thing, you could say.
Yeah, and he had a 9 fix, so it was like, of course, there's you want harmony,
right? Yeah,
in your environment and just like in general when you see it out there. But that's not a lot of what like his personal expression was.
No,
was
what
in
did we
music
type his wing on the 9 fix?
9 wing 8.
Yeah, 9 wing 8.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's pretty short.
How did you meet Courtney? I met her a long time ago in, Portland when we were playing a show, but it was just like a brief encounter. I gave her a sticker. We were talking a little bit. I thought she was like Nancy Spungen or something. I don't know. She just looked like her. Or she just looked like a classic punk rock chick. I did feel kind of attracted to her. Probably wanted to fuck her that night, but she left. I just wanted to add some excitement in my life, and I'd never met anyone so outspoken and charismatic, and it just seems like she is a magnet for exciting things to happen. Like if I just happened to be walking down the street with her, someone would try to attack us with a knife or something for no reason, just because she seems like that kind of a person that just attracts things like that. I felt like a rebel in a way, because I was going off with Courtney and we were scoring drugs and like fucking up against a wall outside and stuff like that, and causing scenes just to do it, just because everyone's sitting at this table just like eating food and not having any fun, and it was just so great to play this role of someone who would stand up all of a sudden and smash a glass on the table and scream at me and throw me down, and it was just really fun.
It was really fun. I did, and like that's the thing, like sexual types can just be that type of energy, and especially like a social sexual 8, 7-4. That's just like.
That's a ball chaos.
When you watch her, like that is her personality is just so like she just throws herself around, and so it's like to have someone that's triple withdrawn but has that sexual middle. That's just like, yeah, that's actually what I want to be doing too. You know,
right.
like I want to get thrown around as well.
Yeah, the sexual instinct it doesn't necessarily mean that. It might be that you're hooked by situations where that can be enacted. It doesn't have to be you. It's like you're attracted to personalities that can be carriers for the drugs that you need. And so, you know, you just, like sexual kind of be like, I don't necessarily need to be the one getting loose, but I need looseness in the air. I need people that are going to be generating this looseness,
right?
Because I need it. It's a requirement. No, I found something. That because I was like, I'm tired of people talking about this guy as he's perfect, so I want him to talk about how much he sucks. So I found this. Let me play it.
I'm such a nihilistic jerk half the time. I'm so fucking sarcastic at times, and then at other times I'm so vulnerable and so sincere. And that's pretty much how every song comes out. It's like a mixture of both of them, and that's pretty much how most people my age are. They're sarcastic 1 minute and then carrying the I'm just as pissed off about the things that made me pissed off a few years ago.
And it's not necessarily personal things, it's rape and violence and
there's that FE.
I'm pissed off about everything in general. And so all these songs are pretty much about my battle with things that piss me off, and that's just the whole theme of the whole album. With every album I do, they all are basically saying the same thing. I mean, I have this conflict between good and evil, and man and woman. It's people doing evil things to other people for no reason. I just want to beat the shit out of them. That's the bottom line. Because all I can do is scream into a microphone instead. One time I read an interview in his office. And
this is where he talks about
Christ, this makes me look like such a moody, emotional, depressive person. And he said, but you are. I go, no, I'm not. I like to have fun sometimes. Yeah. It's just everyone thinks of me as like this emotional wreck, this total negative black star. It's just like, people are constantly accusing me of being in a bad mood. I always ask me, what's the matter? And there's nothing wrong with me at all. I'm not feeling blue at all.
And I think that's where it's like, you know, because 9s obviously relate to that type of like resentment and anger and just like not having it be forefront as like an assertive type would have it, or a reactive type would have it. Like even reactivity is just a lot more angry, but just sort of stewing in like your own muck and whatever. But like a 5 like this, he's talking about things, and it's like he's really differentiating, like he's giving that edge to, like he's voicing like the identity that actually will think those things and feel those things, whereas like 9s, like I remember when I started listening to these tapes of Kurt Cobain when I was in high school, and I was like, oh my god, we're so similar. And it's like because it's like, oh, he's voicing the things that I don't even voice myself. I would never even, like, he's putting a thumb on that thing that like I have experienced as well. So it's like that's the sameness you kind of project onto something like that. Is like, yeah, that one thing that you vocalized, not even thinking that like, oh, I didn't even vocalize it.
You didn't say it.
I didn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. Like if someone asked me like, are you angry? I'd be like, yeah, I'm angry. I don't know why. Like, I just am.
But also people wouldn't have said about you that you are this black hole of negativity, right? Right, as a vibe, you're in a bad mood all the time, or whatever.
No, I sometimes get small things like people find me intimidating or something like that because I'm social self-pres and I have masculine FE as well. That it's like, Sure, sometimes that happens, but overall, like, I will talk to you, I will say hi, I will smile. Anything else is just like a low hum of intimidation, maybe, and not this like actual like, oh, we need to be concerned about this person.
Exactly. That.
Yeah, it's interesting in within the Enneagram and typology in general of just there's almost like a people want to keep their head in the sand because to continue the fantasy of this is how I'm holding my own identity and what I'm thinking about myself. And oh yeah, I can relate to Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain is so this, that, and the other, and I so relate to that. So there's a preciousness about that, and you know the idea that hey, we really want to take a look at what these types actually are and make distinctions between them. And oh, by the way, you can make a video, you can do all these things, and we can look at you and see what's really going on. And it's like, no, fuck that. That's like completely ruining this whole beautiful shrine that I've created for my personality and for other interesting, beautiful personalities that I relate to. We're kind of like ruining that for them.
Yeah. Because it's like when you start attaching like a certain type of meaning onto each thing, and then that's what you're relating to rather than what's really objectively happening and relating to that. That's why we say, like, you know, if you actually met a sexual type, or if you actually met an image type or an assertive type or something like that, like, you would react negatively because it's like, or just like you wouldn't really be sure where to place this person or something like that, because it's like, because it's not something that you're already kind of relating to within yourself. Like, you think part of like personality and identity and your concept of yourself, like you're saying, is like a really precious thing. And then like you've already softened all the edges, and you've already like placed, okay, that was here, and this is because of that, and that's this meaning. And then to actually have that completely blown up is to like first admit that there are ways people in the world operate that you don't get and you don't understand, and are actually like really contradicting and paradoxical. And then you'd also have to admit that those parts of people are also somewhere in you, and you have the potential for, like, a triple withdrawn meeting a triple assertive. So like close to what Kurt and Courtney were like, you know, Kurt was drawn to that kind of energy probably because he fucking lacked so much of it himself. And Courtney was probably drawn so much to Kurt because she lacked so much of that herself, that it's like, to admit, you know, that's the best case scenario because they like fell in love with each other. But like that often happens in like really fiery feuds with people, that you start meeting parts of what a human being could be, possibilities of how they could be. And like, you hate it, you know, because it's like, why aren't you subscribing to my reality and like what I believe our precious little identities should be motivated about and stuff like that?
The other thing that's happening with nines being irritated about being retyped is that they are attachment types. So somebody from the outside telling them that they're another type, they're being affected, you know, in a much more, it's like suffusing into them and being taken. And that's where this thing, we can't use the R word anymore, I guess, being type raped, right?
I was like, what R word?
I'm used to watching some other
channel.
Anyway,
it's boundary crossing.
This conversation about, like, you know, one of the things that came across in the pod recorded with the social hexads is the difference between, or the attachment versus hexad perspective difference, in that there's so much identification happening with attachment type with just a collective, or just and just humanity itself, that there is an assumption that we're starting from, there are some threads between us and other people. And the hexad perspective is that I'm an island, and if we I have any connection is because we overlap in some way. We are starting from the assumption that there is nothing connecting us until a connection is actually made. And the attachment types are doing the opposite. So when it comes to typing, there can be, I don't want to say because hexads do it too, but there's a way that the attachment types can put their personhood, the total of their personhood, into what this type can say about their personalities.
But yeah, exactly.
So to the point where like, of course, the hexads have their own warped way of doing a version of this, but it can be like this: you're attacking my personhood when you say something about what my type might be. And I've seen people say, nines say this to us, that we have been character assassinating them by saying that we're seeing some other type in them. It's like, well, you can say something about eights, for example, and I'd be like, yeah, I can see that eights are shitty or Trump is shitty or whatever. I'm me. Like, that's sort of the hexad. There's so much about me that has nothing to do with my type. And there's a way that sometimes the attachment thing can be like, well, if we start saying stuff about Bermudas and nines, then it's like, whoa, what are you saying about us? It's like, it's like, well,
I see. Yeah.
So there can be that thing that can feel like a violent sort of violation to a lot of the attachment types, where if you start talking about a type or their type, they're like, you're talking about my personhood. You're attacking my personhood.
And I think too, like, a lot of people compare, like, hexad and attachment types because they have this idea of what a type means. It's like, therefore, I'm automatically comparing myself to what has already been spoken about with this, that, or the other, right? Like, that's the big incongruence. But again, it's like, assuming that what has been spoken about this specific type is the end all be all of that type. So it's just like, we can really like nail down patterns of types. Like, you can nail down to the point where you can objectively see it, it's observable, and it's like, yep, that's a 7 or whatever. But especially in these types of conversations, when we're talking about like type 7, it's like, we're only going to go off of what we've experienced, what we've seen, blah, blah, blah. And therefore, like, a 7 on their own is going to have a completely different view of how they experience things. And they're going to be a mix of the pattern that they continuously do, but also their whole history of like who they are as a person. And that's why it's like, even when Alice and I talk about social, it's like, of course it's going to be attachment flavored because we're attachment types. But at the same time, it's like, it's a mix of like the nuggets that make social and personhood and our personal experience. And so it's like, I can't answer to everyone's fucking social instinct in 1 hour and a half long episode. Like, it's just like, I think what's cool about this type of Enneagram is that there's so much that you can do and learn from it. Like, when we started doing like stuff with dreams and type, it's like, I started noticing certain similarities of like dream scenarios, like people who would have these scenes in dreams and they were the same type. And it's like, okay, so like something about this imaging itself is very unique to this type, but it's not limited to that type, like, it's just and it always had different things. Like, it wasn't the same exact scene. It was like, oh, it was with their family, or it was with a partner, or something like that. But it was like the same kind of illustration. So it's like, everyone has super complex ways that their type will illustrate itself, but to kind of objectify a type or an instinct stacking or whatever into like this one thing, and then that makes me feel either good or bad about it because of all these other things people have said, is what goes behind like the meaning you implant into certain personality things that, it's much more complex.
Yeah, people, I think it's just easier to deal with because the idea of personality systems, that we can reduce people to certain categories, people are addicted to that. People can't get enough of what is my type in this new system. And it's usually the simpler it is, the easier it is to understand. I can just take this cookie cutter type and move on and come up with these like, oh, these types do this and these types do that. But to sort of like, because life is complex. Life is really contradictory, and and it's hard to really get what am I supposed to do? People are fucking confused. So people are looking for certainty anywhere they can find it. So to come to the way that we're approaching the Enneagram, that we come back to the same answer, which is life is fucking complex. It's really fucking complex. And of course you have some structure, but within that structure, there's so much variation. Yeah. So sometimes people can see us expressing ourselves in the contradictory, complex ways that we are. And people are like, well, they can't be this type or they can't be whatever because they're going based on some meme of what that type must mean. Or sometimes they see Social Blinds having full-on conversations with fans, and they're like, I don't know if The Weeknd can be social blind because he was talking to this fan after the show. And I was like, I look at that and I'm like, so what do you think Social Blinds are doing?
Right. Yeah.
Do you think that social blind means that you lose the ability to open your mouth and have words come out of it and make eye contact with somebody else and pretend to give a fuck about their personhood? It's not that hard to pretend to give a fuck about people.
Yeah. I think that's why it's like, oh, go ahead, David.
Well, I was going to say, one thing that comes with having an ego, which everyone has, is an aesthetic. Just unconsciously, everyone develops an aesthetic of personality. That what is an ideal look, so to speak, figuratively speaking, for a personality to have or to be or whatever, and then from that you've got different degrees of, feeling you have some of it and feeling you don't have some of it, and insecurity about not having it, and pride about having some of it, or delusion about having some of it, achieve some of it, or it being you. So there's that also. That's another piece of the whole mistyping thing.
Yeah. And I think it's through experience and time as well that it's like, I think I said it when we were doing the sexual episodes, that it's like most people probably won't ever meet a sexual type in real life to actually feel that type of energy and have a reaction to it or a response to it, which really kind of sucks, because it's like to actually be able to understand the real way that these show up, like including not just, instincts, but with core types as well, that it's like, if you're not experiencing that, then you again, you don't recognize the full complexity of humanness, and the nuances. So I want to do maybe some episodes on certain TV shows, because the nuances of personality, I feel like now more than ever are actually being put into TV shows, because we're actually really interested in those little moments of personality fixation, that it's just your personality gets fixated on things, and sometimes you actually have to lean into that fixation to know what the fuck it's objectifying and what it's doing and what it's wanting. I actually have to know what a sexual 9 is like, so that I can lean into that as my own fixation, and know that that's kind of running in the background all the time, and I'm just not identifying with it. And so it's if you don't have that accurate knowing of what a type is really doing, then it's if you don't actually see Kurt and Courtney as two human beings, and not just people either grabbing for attention or being these superstars that were so edgy and cool and whatever, they were fucking messy and weird and had fucking problems. If you don't really kind of give human dignity to these sort of more complex and not as palatable personality fixations, then it's you're kind of just objectifying yourself all the time.
I don't to me, the Enneagram book theory doesn't have much value to me if it's not something that I can experience. To me, the Enneagram is a bunch of theories, but it's I wanted to see how this could affect me in real life, because that's what matters to me at the end of the day. I could give two rat's hats about what a bunch of people came up with 20 years ago and put in a book. If I can't experience or see it, then it's not real. And so my thing was, well, if sexual 8 or these types are real, I want to meet people that are these types and see what it does to me, because that's where I'm going to be able to notice things that no one else has ever seen just because I'm me. And I want to experience it firsthand. It's hard to see yourself, so I can't help myself in that regard. But I should be able to find someone else like this. And then there was a year where I essentially found like 2 sexual types, dated 1 or 2 of them. Just to, like, it was almost like this is my own study of what this is. Been hit on by a sexual 8 before. I was like, oh, that's what that's like.
Yeah. You know how terrible you are.
It's like, oh, that's what that energy's like. And even just like a social 8 and seeing, okay, I have that in the back pocket. I'm not aware that I'm doing that. This is what that energy's like. Like, these people can idealize celebrities because, like, you're not being confronted with the reality of what that person actually is.
Yeah.
And that's why like doing something like a typing video is like is such an unmasking and getting naked, because it's like we're all just regular people who shit and poop and eat. Like, you're not that fucking special. But there is something weird that we each have that's different, even beyond type. There is something weird about you, but it's not the weird flamboyant thing that you think it is. Like, sexual is weird, but it's not as glorious as people might imagine it to be.
No.
You know, it's like there's strange things about our humanity that we can actually observe, but they're not as, you know, it's like people falling in love at first. You fall in love with the idea of a person, and then you get annoyed once you actually encounter their flaws, like 8 months later. But then, like, if you stick around, maybe you discover that they have actual other long-term qualities that you really admire and respect. And so it's kind of like that, where it's like I go in thinking sexual is going to be this thing. It's not that thing, but it's actually like something else that may be profound that you learn later. So it's like the idea is much smaller, but it's still different and distinct in its own way.
Yeah.
So it's people like that, just sort of, you have an idea of Kurt Cobain, you have an idea of this type that's not real. But like, if you actually took a look, you might discover something else about them that's interesting, but it's not as profound as you thought it was going to be.
Right. And it's like, again, separating what is personality fixation and what we're measuring these types by. It's like, it is measurement, you know, compared to like soul and like what's happening in the moments, that it's like what's happening spontaneously in moments that you're not doing fixation, which does happen. It's not like you're always fixated all the time, but most of the time you are. But there are other times, like in moments of either like when you're alone, when you're creating, when you're in connection with someone, when you're like discovering something new. I don't know, like there's plenty of moments that you're not doing your personality. And it's like, to know that you exist in those moments is to kind of like also admit that that fixation that you're idolizing because it apparently works and it apparently gets you somewhere, and you can kind of like blast it out of, you know, this reality and into a different one that you've kind of constructed, you know, that it's like that can be, that has to crumble, like that has to fall. You have to see it as just a fixation. Like, especially with sexual instinct stuff, people love talking about it because they can continue to fantasize about it instead of like letting that fantasy just crash and like, no, it is actually this thing, you know, and like, sure, it can get you to other places, just like each instinct can get you to a really genuine, soulful place. But if you're only associating it with like as a fixation, which most people are, it's actually really fucking annoying. And it's and it's your machinery. Like it's a machine that's doing that. It's not you, the you-ness, you know?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's why so much of the work that we're doing is like these idealizations can only continue if we don't see what these types are in a three-dimensional way. It's like you can idealize someone, you can fall in love with someone because you don't know them. You haven't actually seen them. You haven't seen them naked. You haven't seen them, you know, in emergency. So it's you haven't actually encountered this person. So like the thing about sexual instinct is that if you force people to actually see in real life, not in the abstract, just as part of every day, it's part of everything. And to see that this is, because it's almost like if we think that sexual is some faraway thing that we only sort of engage in these highly charged, sexy scenarios, then we can sort of create all these narratives about it. But if we can see that it's actually a part of so many things, it's everywhere, then it's like, oh, yeah. Because there's a way that people might say that social instinct is, banal or self-presence is like the thing that we do every day. It's not special. But if sexual wasn't special and it's actually a part of everything, then it's like, well, we can't elevate it to this sort of, thing because it's actually banal. It's actually part of everything. So just remove the specialness to see, because 4 or 5 can seem really special because we don't see enough of it. So if you see enough of it, then you can't idealize it anymore.
Yeah.
So I just want to force people to see plenty of it. It's not fucking special.
Well, or again,
continue to see how creepy I am, for example. That helps break down the illusion of the glamorization.
The glamorization. Every time David shows up on screen, people are reminded, oh yeah, self-sexual.
Yeah. Be
that cool.
I feel disgusted all of a sudden, and I don't know why.
I don't know why. Somebody said in the comment section once, it's I don't know what's going on with that guy, but he gives me bad vibes.
And I go, yes.
Just bad energy. I don't know what's going on with him. Just bad energy.
Bad energy.
But no, I don't think people actually want to know what Kurt Cobain was like, because that would ruin
no.
Their fucking fantasies.
Well, and
him.
Kurt Cobain would not let you close to him.
He wouldn't even like these people.
I mean, yeah, exactly. He wouldn't let you be his friend. He had his bandmates and they produced something together, so of course they were gonna have some kind of connection.
And then
Courtney.
Same time. They probably fought a lot. At the same time, yeah.
Oh, for sure, probably.
That drummer at 7. I'm sure there was some shit.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a thing where one of them, I think he was a 9, he disapproved of his heroin use, of course, and
the bass player,
and Kurt, really distanced himself from him, and so there was some tension about the drug use, because I mean, if it's either you're in the throes of drug use or you're not, that's some serious shit. Yeah, I think, what is it about? I realized, because I was thinking about doing something about the social blind thing, but I was I realized I'm not that interested in as much anymore in the conversation around correct typing, because it's a bottomless pit of nothing
it's impossible.
Changing. Yeah,
it's impossible.
It's more, to me, interesting now to make the types more three-dimensional in a way that eventually the environment changes and the way that people are becoming more aware of these types are, so that those people that are mistyping seem like bigger morons. That's about all you can accomplish. Because just the conversation about this is what this type is, and let's talk about it more specifically, that will never work. These idiots will, regardless of what you say about the types, will imagine themselves into it. So it's almost like I want to make the environment more embedded with the right stuff, that intelligent people can actually see what these types are, so that when these idiots start saying, I'm sexual self-pres, there are enough smart people in the room to be like, you're a moron and you're hallucinating. Yeah. And here's why. Rather than, let's talk about more specifically about what social blind is.
Yeah, more words to describe it or whatever.
No, it's not going to help. It's even the fact that we're social blinds, the people don't think social blinds are real. I've seen that on forums too. People don't think it exists because they don't believe that we're social blind because we're doing podcasts.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who has experienced the social blindness, I can tell you from the trenches that they are real.
It's people saw the questions that I was asking in the self-press sexual episode, and they were like, oh, yeah, Emeka's really engaged, and he
has a brain.
Yeah, he's probably self-press social or sexual social. And I'm I'm just superior to you in every way.
Oh my God.
That's all that is.
That's it.
That's all that is. I'm just impressive.
No.
Very impressive. That's it.
Look what you did.
Firing on all cylinders. Yeah.
I'm just great at the thing that you're insecure about. That's doesn't mean that I have social. It just means I'm just better. That's it.
I just like, are people thinking that social is just that you can think of things? Like, what is this? You can think and communicate? Like,
I can come up with good questions. That's the social instinct. What does that say about your social instinct?
And that's what I'm saying. Like the trying to define things and only going off of definitions is impossible because, like you're saying, people are hallucinating. They're projecting their own stuff into it. And then also it's just like you do have to just like spend time really actually seeing it in people and really feeling it like out there in the world, because it's like it's not going to just be this concept. Like the Enneagram cannot just be a concept. It has to also be in the flesh, like happening in the moment, and you can actually feel it's the tension of the things happening in real time.